So we have a subject that we need to deal with today, and it's letting go bad habits. The Torah calls it idol worshipping, avodah zarah. So let's see what the portion is talking about, because this is the energy, and we have to find where is love, we have to find how we let go, and how does it give us the power this week for the whole year, because always it's one portion for a year, to really know how to let go. It's not easy. Actually, it's not easy to let go almost anything. Okay, so how the portion is starting. ויאמר השם אל אברהם, לך לך מארצך וממולדתך מבית אביך אל הארץ אשר אראך. So God talking to Abram says, go from your country, from your city, and from the house of your father to a country that I'll show you. So he's not even telling him where he's going. It's not easy. But the first, we have to go to the name of the portion. What does it mean, lech lecha? Lech lecha in Hebrew, it means lech, means go, for yourself. Lecha, to you. Go to you. I mean, who's to you? I mean, how can a person goes to himself if most people think that they are just, this is me, it's only me. Who's the other one? So the portion really talking to, really not to Abraham, talks to each one of us at the time that we're going through different hardship, situation, anything that's going on in our lives, and especially any test. We get tested all day long, all our lives. Test after test. It doesn't matter what about. Could be to exercise and we don't want, to walk and we don't want, to eat better and we don't want, to behave better. And it's like, just name it. What we need to do, it's all test. Person can make a decision, but he doesn't understand that everything in life is a choice. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always a choice. There is things in front of us. It's a choice. You can say, it's more attracting. I want this. This is less attracting. I don't want it. Could be in anything. But we don't know to say that whatever we get attracted to, it's better than the one that we are not. Absolutely, if we look overall in the world, usually it's exactly the opposite. Whatever we don't get attracted to, that's what's good for us. That's how it works. Because don't forget, we already studied that it was the flood and we didn't behave right. So don't forget it. We coming to different portion, but it's continuity and to tell us really what it is. So numerical value of lech lecha, it's 100. So it means that Abraham been promised by God, if you're going to leave, if you let go the bad habits, if you leave the idol worshiping, I'll give you another 100 years. So if you check, you see when was the talk to Abraham to leave, to go and to let go of the bad habits, 75 years old. When Abraham left the world, 175. So that's really talking to us. If we're going to leave the idol worshiping, it's like we're going to get extension. We're going to get more joyful life, longer, so many things as Abraham did. Okay, so the portion is really talking literally about people, always. But if you go to the Zohar, I went to different books, Ahavat Chaim, you go to the Baal Shem Tov, it says that actually, if you look at things, not literally, it means through the portion, it gives us different understanding. If we're going to read it right tonight, we're going to understand that Abraham actually, according to the Zohar, it means the soul, not Abraham itself. It's like the portion that the Torah is talking about the soul. Live, lech lecha, live. You need to go to that body. You're gonna go, that you're gonna need to do the work with the body. You have to be controlling the body. You can't let the body control you. Obviously, we see it's totally the opposite. And God, it's actually talking to our soul. Lech lecha me'artzecha, leave the soul, leave that country where you got used to, the soul. It's so pleasant to be between all the souls. Go to the physical world. Go to this body that actually is really fits you and what you have to do and your tikkun. Because come on, be honest and read it right. Here we're talking about Abraham, the patriarch that so many people know, the righteous person or whatever. I mean, come on, God, be nice. Why you didn't give him a father that is righteous or like something, nice? Why are you giving him a father that it's idol worshiper? And how long it took him? Look, 75 years until he woke up. That's for us to understand. It takes time. It's a lot of work. It's not 1, 2, 3. And everything that's happening to us since the day we are born, it's all to do with the soul that have to go through this process and to develop and get higher and higher to upgrade ourselves. That means go to the body that fits you, that's gonna be exactly what you need. Because Abraham couldn't come to a righteous family. He had to go to the worst level. And that's only from there he needs to climb. Each one of us, the same thing. Even if someone was born, I don't know if you know, in a religious family, sometimes they leave all religious till they do something else. So come on. When it says leave the country, it means leave where the soul is comfortable and go inside the body that will suit you, and you need to do the tikkun there. So you need to go down to this world. It's not going up from where the soul is, it's going down to the body, down to this world. And then it says, Moladetcha, the country or the city or where you were born. Moladetcha, Mola, it means you were born there. As we say, think about it for a second. Every year, we're doing birthday. Means that the person have to know to go back to that point in time that I was born and to understand the purpose. If you forget it, birthday, cake, balloons, gifts, you lost it. And we're doing it. We're doing it. But that was not the purpose. So it says, from Moladetcha, from where you were born. You were born, everything was good. The Shekhinah is there, the force of light that protecting you. Leave it. Leave the house of your father. What does it mean? Leave where the soul with the Father, it means God, the soul, enough. You can't stay there. You need to go to the body. And where are you going to go? Think about it. Doesn't make sense. To the place that I'm going to show you. So they show the soul where to go. So the first place that the soul goes It's to the womb and start develops and develop until the body is ready and the soul comes out, the time of birth, and now another process, growing up. Now who's going to take over, the soul or the body? Not easy. We don't see it this way. אל הארץ אשר אראך. I'll show you where to go. Doesn't make sense. So you're going to go to a place, to father and mother and sister and brother, whatever it is. And even if there is not so many, it doesn't matter where you're going to go, that's exactly what's going to suit your tikkun. That's really what the Torah says. And that, if you look at that, I hope we do, that's real love. Why it's real love? Because God wants the soul to go back to be one with Him, with God. God wants the person to practice, to go and to elevate from all the negativity or whatever that controls the soul. There is a reshimo, it means all the residue that comes from the person that was born. Think about what I'm going to tell you now. Think about it. We get upset when someone dies. True? Of course. But you have to understand, there is supervision. There is something that's going on that it's so important. At the same time that you are upset that someone died, you know that someone else is very happy to have the baby. But you understand that if that person didn't die, this baby could not born. We don't think about it. Why we say Baruch Dayan Emet? It's all true. There is cycle of the soul to go to where the soul have to be and to elevate. That's love. Really, God doesn't see the body. You have to understand. Exactly as we don't see the soul, God doesn't see the body. God sees only the soul. What's good for the soul? So we know, if I'll ask this physical question, if you have a person that's working for you, and he keeps doing mistakes and mistakes and mistakes and mistakes, really, you're losing. Really, what do you have to do? Fire that person and bring a person that maybe is going to do better for the business. We are business, this la'asok b'Torah. We are the business, all the people in the world. Someone is not doing his part. Let him go from this body, let him come back again, and hopefully he's going to do the job right. In business, we understand, so why they say the word business, Torah, la'asok, means deal with it. So now that we kind of a little bit understand a little bit more, it means we're getting something, there is a real love that God is giving every one of us and an opportunity again and again and again to come here to this world, to start all over again, to develop, to grow, to do, and to reach as higher level as possible. I know. It's not that I don't know. I live in the same boat. It's not easy, no. But, come on, think about it. Terach, the father of Abraham, idol worshiper. I didn't think about it much before. But it says in the portion that we finished, okay, not Lech Lecha, portion of Noach, in the end of Noach, it says, Terach Yalad. Terach gave birth to Abraham and Haran and his two brothers. I mean, really? Do you see up to now, up to Lech Lecha, they said except if they didn't talk about women. I don't know who's Abraham's mother, it doesn't say. How come? Because they're not talking about the physical, there is no physical matter. They're talking about Bina, talking about Chokhmah, they're talking about the soul. That's why they don't mention the father. So they don't talk about the mother because really there's no mother. But, we have to know to live in both worlds at the same time. There is physical and there is spiritual. I have my soul, I have the body. But really what counts, it's the soul. Unfortunately, what counts for us, it's the body. That's where the chaos starts. So here we hopefully we understand with all the hardship, with all that process that it's not so easy. To love, it means to connect. The soul supposed to be part of God, to connect to the same love. And you'll see soon, same love of God that giving us chance to give chance to others, not to judge. So someone did mistake, okay. We cannot judge. And that's why it says to Abram, because he's listening to God, and he says, okay, I'm going to get 100 more years, but this way, different way, not either worshiping. I'll make you a huge nation. That's what it says. Later on, it says to Moses too. Va'avachecha, I'll give you blessing. Va'agadla, shimcha, your name is going to be famous. It's true. Almost everybody in this world, thousands of years after, still knowing the name of Abraham. Veheye bracha, and you're going to be the blessing of the world. Even think about it. The person doing even the silent prayer that's called 18 blessing. It means Amidah, silent prayer. What do we stop? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So here, think about it. So if the soul going, I'll go with you now, the opposite. The soul going, leaving the place where all the souls, going to a body, and going down and going through all those things, 3 steps, Artzecha, Moladetcha, and Bet Avicha. Your country, your place of birth, and the house of your father. If the soul have to leave all these, place of the father, it means God. Now, let's try to do the opposite. Lech lecha mi'artzecha, leave your country, leave you the place of birth and the bet avicha. Okay, so leave your family in a way. It means the family, the soul family. Okay. Now let's go the opposite. What does it mean, the opposite? If the soul had to leave all this and to go into a body, let's see what happened the opposite. When the soul have to leave the body, that's also leaving the country, leaving the city, the place of birth, leaving everything, include family, kids, grandkids, whatever, it depends on the age of the person. Leave it. And you're going to go back, means the soul going back to the place that you earned, that you have a merit. You're not going to go to just going back. No, now when you go back, you also have to go exactly as you came to specific body, specific family. That's what's going to help you with tikkun, like Abraham had to come to idol worshiping family. When the soul leaves the body, also the soul leaves to whatever level that the soul actually prepared when the soul was in the body. So you leave now the family and the kids and this and brothers and sisters, whatever, And you're going to go only to where you earned. So I'll show you now the other 3 steps. It says that the soul cries 3 times. First time, when she comes down to this despicable world, that's how they call it, like disgusting physical world. For the soul, it's disgusting. So the first time she cries when she has to go down to this world. The second time, the soul cry at the time of birth. You see, always babies cry. Okay? Cries the time of birth. Because now that soul knows what they have to go through. Totally, they know. The third time that the soul cry is when she leaves the world. Now I have to leave the world. Think about it. I didn't want to come down. I hated to be born inside a body, to be locked inside. But now I have a family. I have this, I have that. Now I'm crying that I'm leaving. It's really amazing. It says 3 times. And that's really, by the way, I found out in some of the books, it says that's what means Yodai Troah. Troah, when we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, there's Tkiah, 2, and then 2, 2, 2, and then 9, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 2. Okay, so those are the 3. Each one of them is 3. Everything is either 9 or 3, but still, it's all 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Everything is 3, right, left, and center. And that's the meaning of the soul crying 3 times. Yodai Troah. We know what it means to be here in this world. So when a person is coming into the body, the reason is so he can win and earn the blessing by loving, means the love that he received from God, by loving and caring for someone else. And I'll show it to you. It's clearly in the Torah. Because someone yesterday in the Hebrew class asked me, so how Abraham did it? He was so many, it's 75 years idol worship. How did he know it's God? Don't you have this question? They asked me, the Israelis, because they study the Torah at school, how Abraham know that God is who he thought, because many people that have idol worshiping, they think God is that God that they know. It's so simple. The only way to know God is to know the feeling when you're helping someone else. And I always do something simple. Think about when you cross the street. No big deal. You help someone to cross the street. Wow. Think anything you do to yourself and you do the same to someone else, the energy of joy and fulfillment from doing it to someone else, it's 1,000 times than when you do it to yourself. In anything. Even if you do just pat your hand, you're not going to feel the same as someone else touching you. It doesn't matter what it is. So Abraham, it says in the Torah, I'm going to read, it's verse 5. Vaikach Avraham means Abraham, Vaikach Avraham et Sarai ishto. He took Sarai, Sarah his wife, Lot ben Achiv, the nephew, Lot, all that they had, okay, אשר רכשו ואת הנפש אשר עשו בחרן. That's what we have to emphasize and to understand what it says. So they had, whatever things, physical things that they earned, they have it. But it says, ואת הנפש אשר עשו, and they took all the nefesh that they did. Now, I mean, I hope for most of us to understand, you cannot do nefesh. So how come they say to take the nefesh that they did? It's really beautiful. That's love. When you help someone to transform, means to go from whatever level he is to a better level. He's happier, better relationship, better health, doesn't matter what. It's like you creating the person from the beginning. It's like you creating this new nefesh. You doing it. So every time we help, that means love. So, I don't know if you heard, it's amazing because for me, I hear so many things. There is a producer in Israel that did very famous movies. He had a hard time later. He made mistakes with some investment movie, but it doesn't matter. He had an interview a few months ago. And the interview that we saw, they asked him, we heard that you kind of going in tshuva, it means you becoming a little bit more religious. Is that because your son went to drugs and you wanted to help him on this? He said, no, nothing to do with my son. So they told him, so what does it mean? He says, people needs to understand what tshuva. Tshuva, it's to go back. That's tshuva. Tashuv, go back. Go back to where? Go back to the Mount Sinai when we all been asked, would you care for someone else as you care for yourself? When we said, yes, we received the Torah. It says, people, you know why he said, why the corona is happening? Because people sitting in synagogues and places of studying Torah, they sitting with a book. No, he said they have to go out and start helping each other. And the corona is pushing people not to be just sitting and going through the book. Go out and help. I don't know what the percentage, I'm not here to say it's true or not, but really it's true about the idea why they do isolation and why so many people that, especially if you go to places like Brooklyn, Israel, the religious areas are hot. It's red, they call it in Israel. How come? It's because it's not about just holding the book. We need to give love. And that's tshuva. This means to repent, really, to go back in time. And that's what it says. Kol hanefesh asher asu b'haran. And if you don't know the word haran, it means anger. Leave the anger. Leave all the reaction. Leave all the addiction, everything. Let go of all your bad habits. And what country they need to go? It doesn't say Israel, it says Canaan. In Hebrew, maybe you heard me before, in Hebrew, Canaan, it means to surrender yourself. Surrender. How are we willing to surrender ourselves to that God that we call it? The Hashgacha, the supervision of God. Are we willing to surrender ourselves? The answer is no. How dare me saying no? I'll tell you. Because every time we get upset, every time we get angry, every time we judge, let's say judge. You judge a person by judging, even if you didn't say it clearly, but that's like saying, God, listen, you made mistake giving this person the permission to come to this world. I know better than you. That is not worthy. That's judgment. I get angry. Again, so all the things that we go through, anything, I don't care what it is. I don't have patience to some people. All of it, means something very simple. We are not surrendering ourselves to God. That's it. Surrender yourself already. Come on. You believe or you don't believe? What is it? Where is it? So the answer for this, do we believe or not? I'll tell you how it is. See, many people afraid to go into something, let's say go to a business, because they're not sure if the investment is going to be good. But if it works good, they wish they entered, but now no one's going to let them in because it's already working good. You didn't join at the right time. You're out. So a person with God doing this, I'll do a little bit. I'll go here a little bit. I'll do Rosh Hashanah once a year. Maybe I'll study here and there. If it's going to be good, I didn't put much effort. If it's not, I didn't lose much. That's really most of the people in the world. And that's a problem. Big, huge. We don't surrender ourselves to God. And that's why, if we continue, we'll see when we look at Abraham, at that really soul that had to come to either worshiping and to let go of it. That's why we blow 30 blowing, the first 30 blowing Rosh Hashanah, it's Abraham the patriarch, either worshiping. Letting go all habits, the bad habits. Even to say let go, it's not easy. We need to actually embrace, adopt the love that Abraham had to people. Abraham was called the love human being. That's who he was. He loves human being. Ish ha'ahava, they call it. The person, the man of love. And to understand, I'll give you now like section by section. I hope I'm going to translate it the best I can. Okay, so it says, if there is no love, there is no respect. If there is no respect, we don't real listen. If there is not real listening, there is not tikkun midot, means we don't correct our values and our attributes. If you don't do the tikkun of the attributes, im en tikkun midot, en tikkun deot, then you don't correct your consciousness. If you don't correct your consciousness, it means everything is corrupted and twisted in the whole world. Amazing. If not this, if not, it's amazing. Abraham, to reach whatever level that he had to, even when he started to that journey, 75 years old, yes, but he had to go through all the tests, many different tests. So first, when he felt the love, that the minute he was helping people and transforming them, helping them to elevate, he started to understand what's the love of God. And he started to love God unconditionally, willing to go through a fire. That's another test that he had to go. Okay? So he loved God with all, like we say, with all his heart, with everything that he had. He had a big, big love to Sarah. But soon we understand Sarah as wife, but Sarah is another level. And then he also, if you read it right, he loved the mistress, Hagar. He also loved Ishmael, and he loved hundreds and thousands of people. Think about it. Don't forget people that died just recently. Recently. We don't even know who they are. That person died 4,000 years ago, and most of the people in the world know him. He left love, and it's going to be until the end of the correction. And that's why we need to understand. Think about Abraham. Here there is a city of Sodom and Gomorrah. Horrible city. People vicious, hatred. And here Abraham fighting with God. Maybe there is 50 people good in Sodom and Gomorrah. He's fighting. He knows it's bad. Fighting. And then 45 and maybe 40. I mean, love, it means this. Did you ever not fight for a city? Think about it. Do you fight for even one or two people? And you willing to do anything? Would you fight with God for someone else? The answer is no. We don't. And here they show you that Abraham, the love that he had even for wicked people, that he knew, and God told him, it's so bad over there. And he still was fighting him. So now I know I gave this portion almost everywhere that I was teaching in this world. I never understood this point, the love of Abraham, fighting. When a person goes to the sukkah, it doesn't matter if you did or not. We do a shpizim. Abraham the first night, Isaac the second night. Even if we didn't have sukkah. I didn't. I was in quarantine because they told us to stay quarantine because we were somewhere and they said, because you were there, you have. So I didn't even have a sukkah. But still, I did ushpizim. It means to invite the force of Abraham to dwell in me. That's ushpizim. We invite him. So we need to invite Abraham this week to be, to embrace something from Abraham. That even if he knew they are so bad, he had huge love. It doesn't matter to whom. And love like this, love, really strong love like this, can either remove or erase any kind of ego. Love like this, it means being like being embracing God. Love like this, it's for anybody that can give anything. Think about it this way. The minute we have love to God, we can have more space in our heart for another person. Doesn't feel like my plate is full. And if I have such a huge love, I have a lot of space in my heart for many people. Think about it. And if we continue in the same direction, okay, now, when we talk about love, we need to understand that So many different ways. Because I'm looking for that love in every portion, I found something that it's amazing. See, when we get upset, when we get depressed, when we get through whatever we go through, and I feel right and I argue or whatever, you know that that's the jail that the person creates for himself. We live inside a jail of me, I'm right, and this, and justifying different things. It's a jail. And every time we fight to stay in this jail. When a person have really big love in his heart, he can release himself from that jail. So they create themselves from the beginning, and this love connects the person to the endless. And the endless connects the person to different levels of blessing. And it means I can start seeing, when I'm out of the jail, I start to see the light, or we can say the good in everything and every person. Every. Because I don't have the darkness anymore. Why we see something bad? Because I have it. If I don't have it, so amazing. I'm free and I'm giving love. I really go to a higher level of myself. And think about another test that Abraham, while he was already, he went to where kind of where God told him, Canaan. It means he surrendered himself to God in the spirituality, in the physically, he was in the land, the promised land, and start to be hunger in this land. Now, ask yourself, why are they telling us all the time? It's not only with Joseph, even with Abraham. No food. Where Abraham had to go? Egypt. What does it mean? Come on, guys. Here's God, loves Abraham, is amazing. He gives him blessing that is going to be like the sand. He's all the nations of the world is going to come out of him, and he's not even supporting him with food. Egypt? So I have to go through another test. That's really what it means. So we need to go through hardship, hard times in the journey of the soul that goes from one thing to another. It's not just the body, it's the soul and the body. Abraham coming to Egypt, it's really hard. It's not easy to be there. Okay? Now what happened? Something happened that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go back a little bit. I don't know if you know the story. The whole thing with Sodom and Gomorrah, when Lot, his shepherd, and Abram's shepherd used to fight, Abram told him, where are you going to go? This way, I'll go the other way. Anyway, Lot decided to go and live in Sodom and Gomorrah. In the Midrash, it says that he was the judge there, the person that doing the judge. Okay. So he lives there. And here it was, at the time of Abraham, 5 nations, 5 kings had a fight, and they took over Sodom and Gomorrah, and they took everything from the city, include his nephew and everything he earned. Pay attention. They tell us Abraham took some people and he went to fight 5 kings. And he won. I'm preparing you for something. And he won. And he brought back Lot to Sodom and Gomorrah and everything in place. Now it was Hungary going to Egypt. And here he goes to Sarah and says, listen, Sarah, don't say you are my wife because you are beautiful. And they might kill you because of me. Two questions I have to already ask and kind of let's see the picture. Look how people, thousands of years, including me, reading it, not so right. Here, Abraham fought 5 nations, 5 kings, and he won. Here he goes, and Pharaoh is telling his wife that she's almost 90. You know, you are so beautiful. They're going to take you and kill me. Abraham, you just won 5 nations, 5 kings. Doesn't make sense. And then if they're going to kill you, anyway, let's say physically, if they're going to kill you, anyway, they're going to abuse her. So why don't you fight? Maybe you're going to win. So anyway, that's kind of the story. Pharaoh takes her and he got different plagues. He got sick and he woke up and he says to everyone, what did you do to me? It's like he knew that she is his wife and not his sister. Well, anyway, he started giving him gifts and stuff. You believe really the story? It's amazing. If he won five kings, why does he say, I mean, doesn't have any faith in God? No certainty? So actually now they are talking about she's beautiful, Isha Yafat Mar'eh. She's a beautiful looking woman. That's what the Torah says. I'm not telling you yes or no, but that's not really what it is. Don't forget when God talked to her, she says, you want me to have a kid? Look at me, I'm old. Okay, so it's not talking about it. Talking about the soul that we have is beautiful. Here we have to stop and say, oh, wow. One, do we see the soul? Do we see the soul is so beautiful? Do we understand that the body might be dead? He says, if they're going to take you, means if the soul leaves, I'm going to die. Do we know that we going to be dead if that beautiful soul going to be taken by who? By Pharaoh. Who's Pharaoh? Don't forget, Pharaoh, it means bad mouth. It's also habits. Can we let go? Can we zip? Can we really hold not to say what we're not supposed to say? Can we say only what we need to say? So my soul is not going to be hurt. So if you understand, the soul is actually Haneshama Yafat Mar'eh, beautiful. Soul don't have age, only the body. So that's why I had to tell you, and the Torah is telling you, not just explaining. They tell you that Abraham won 5 nations, 5 kings. To make sure that you see the connection, you're going to tell yourself, as we're saying now, he's afraid when he won 5 nations? Something doesn't make sense.
Wait, is there such a thing as 5 nations or no? What do the 5 nations represent?
It's not about the nation. It's to tell you, if he fought 5 nations, to really, when you read the Torah, you have to understand 1 and 1 is 2. You have to understand what and how the Torah talks to you. The Torah doesn't tell you directly like regular book. They tell you, Abraham God told him to lech lecha, leave everything, when he was 75. When really Abraham listened to God, soon, in the end of the portion, when he was 99, when he did the circumcision, it means the brit, the connection, the contract, the covenant, and for Ishmael when he was 13. Again, 13, it's also love. So it's not about who's the nation, because later on we always hear that the Israelite had to fight nations. Hiti, Ivusi, Girgashi, always the names, the same names. It's not about that. It's about the soul. Soul have to fight different angels that are negative, different energies. Because think about it. Let's go to something that we have physical. You have mezuzah on your door. It says it's going to protect you when you come in, when you go out. When you come in, you would say, okay, I'm inside, the mezuzah is on the door. When you go out, it's because the consciousness of what this mezuzah, the words of the mezuzah telling you how to behave, then it will protect you even if you are there. But if you just kiss it, you're not different than a tribe in Africa kissing a tree. So if you go through many things that we do, you will understand. Because they're not telling us, I mean, really, they actually here, if I go literally, it's like Abraham teaching me not to have certainty in God. When God told him, I'm going to bless you, he's telling Sarah, don't say you're my wife. But if you understand, later on, whoever knows, like Shira Shirim and Kohelet, whatever that King David wrote and his son Solomon, Yonati, Nishmati, it's about the neshama. Tamati, all those words, it's about the neshama. Okay? So, and that's why, look what the Torah say. Katuv, written. Ba'avurech hayta nafshi. If you say that you are my sister, my nefesh gonna stay alive. When you read it, it's like, what? Means because of the soul, then the nefesh is alive. And not the opposite. The nefesh doesn't feed the soul. So there is five parts. From below, it's nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. Neshama, it's really the basic high level that people, if they have, most people don't, by the way. Most people don't. Most people have only nefesh, they have a little bit ruach. And I said, how do I check if I'm more nefesh or more ruach? It's easy to check. You don't have to go 4,000 years. You don't have to go to the book of Torah. You don't have to go anywhere. You just have to take a page and you split it to two and you take one day, just one day, and you write every detail that you did for yourself from the minute you wake up. So you wake up from a mattress, the soul doesn't need a mattress. You wake up and you wash your face, the soul doesn't need it. It's part of God. You drink, doesn't need drink. Anything you do. So if you write all the details that you did on a day, don't forget you have to do the other half. I want all the details that you did to your soul. That by itself shows what? It's not even 99.1, barely. Body is everything. We use the soul. And later on, when you read, you see, you understand the writing in the Torah. Uba'avurech, for you, my nefesh will be alive. Hayta nafshi. That's what the Torah says. So we need to see the beauty of the soul, to appreciate the soul. Every time you get upset, you don't care about your own soul. Upset, just upset. And if I'll go through everything, the highest one, the worst one is to hate. And we do it. Why in the blessing that we do on Shabbat, it says, להסיר שנאת חינם מבינכם, why? To remove the hatred for no reason. Why the two temples got destroyed for the same reason. Yeah, so don't look like, surprise, I never heard it. Okay. So here we understand, don't hurt your soul with the bad mouth. Pharaoh, it's pera. Just pay attention to it. Okay? Pharaoh gets all those plagues, and that means the body gets plagues because of the bad mouth that we have. Okay? Now, if you look at that, that's why it says that Abraham also fighting with Lot. What's Lot in Hebrew? Lot, it means darkness. And the Zohar calls Lot Yetzer Hara. And Abraham is Yetzer Tov. So the Zohar says there is a fight between the evil inclination and the good inclination. Abraham is the good, Lot is the bad. That's why Lot chose to live in Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham chose to live in Canaan. He's surrendering himself to the light, and the other one surrendered himself to the darkness. We need to know how to read the portion slowly and to understand what it says. And that's why he told Lot, where are you going? This way, I'll go the other way. Because light and darkness don't live together. You know? Okay. So after Abram listened to what the words of the Torah says, after Abram split from his kind of the story nephew, it means from the evil inclination, God gave Abram again blessing. והשם אמר אל אברהם, אחרי היפרד לוט מאמו. God talks to Abraham after he split from Lot. That's the sentence from the Torah. I'm reading from the book. שא עיניך, raise your eyes and see. Raise your eyes. If you want to see, you need to be on a mountain to see a country. Why he told him, raise your eyes and see the country? If you raise your eyes, you see the sky, you don't see the country. So you see? So what? I'm going to change the Torah now? So it makes sense to us. But that's the sentence. שא נא עיניך וראה מן המקום אשר אתה שם, see from the place that you are there, צפונה, נגבה, קדמה, see all the four sides of this country. What four sides? It's the four phases, four sfirot, the four worlds, the four steps, the four tests. In Hebrew, phase and a test, it's the same word. So here, when we understand the fight that we have with those kings, it means there is always the kings. It means this evil inclination have different kings and they come different way. For example, a person can be even young and he have anxiety. Anxiety is not something that you look at something physically and you're afraid. See, harada, it's anxiety in Hebrew, and pahad is fear. Fear, it's usually you see something and you're afraid. Anxiety is inside the person. Doesn't exist. That's another king. And there is another king. And there is many kings. Why they call it king? Like later on, Balak and Bilam. King, it means it controls your mind. And the minute we understand, hopefully, after Abram won and he brought back his nephew or whatever, the way the story, here he gets a blessing from Kohen El Elyon, the high priest. He's getting blessing from him, and Abram is giving him a gift. It's called Maaser. He gives him tithing. Immediately when he did something good, the sentence after, not even space, sentence after, the king of Sodom and Gomorrah, is talking to Abram. Now you tell me, I want someone to answer me if you know. He says, תן לי הנפש והרכוש קח לך. Give me the nefesh and take all the physicality you want. Okay. So if you think you understand the Torah after 4,000 years, you tell me what you mean. So, what kind of sentence is this to say to Abraham, give me the nefesh? What nefesh? So our ego show us for many, many years, for thousands of years, how we think that we understand, and we have a kippah on the head, or we have a beard, or we have a talit, and we have a tefillin, and we have all those things, but we don't understand what he says. Tell me nefesh, give me the nefesh. That's what he's telling him, the king of Sodom and Gomorrah, to Abram. And I'll give you everything you want. And what Abram answered him, I don't want to take from you even a shoelace. I trust only God. And what does it mean? Through the whole Torah, by the way, we can sell our soul, our nefesh, for nothing. Every time we get through all those different names of reactions, we sell the soul for nothing. Nothing. And Abraham teaching us not to sell your soul for not even a shoelace. Yeah, it's amazing, very deep teaching. I'm not going to go there too much. But just to understand, Abraham doesn't fall, and he says, "Harimoti yadi el Hashem el Elyon." I raise my hand only to God, and God helping Abraham to receive control. How does he do it? After the whole talk with the king of God telling Abraham something doesn't make sense. He says, go out and count the stars. I mean, can really anybody count the stars? And that's why Abraham wrote the book of formation. It's all about all the rules of the universe. The letters that controls the planet and the sign of the zodiac, it all comes from the book of formation. So it means in Hebrew, lisfor, when you count, that's why it says not to count, nothing. When you count, you limit. And that's why in Hebrew we say when we have any place in Israel that people live by the border, we call it Yishuv Sfar. When you say Sefer, it's the same word. Just because there is information in the book, it doesn't mean anything. Only if you know how to use it. And that's why it says there is knowledge when you really earned it and you use it, it becomes wisdom. Wisdom is after you use it, not before. Before it's only information. And here, Abraham is teaching us that we need to control the signs of the zodiac. We cannot be controlled. And I had a class on Monday about it, just general class about astrology. So we need to understand. And in the end of the portion, as I said already, 99 years old, it means from 75, when God told him, Lech Lecha, leave everything, it took him 24 years until he moved forward and he did the covenant, the connection, and he did the brit for himself when he was 99 years old. It's not much because he lived 175, because God gave him 100. He had 75 when he met God. So it's a lot of things that's happening in this portion. And it's all about to remove darkness with love, to let go. Stop always fighting that you think you're right. Stop. Let go of many things. You have dispute with someone from 20 years. Let go. Start removing darkness with love. That's Abraham. That's what we need to do. That's really the word love, ve'ahavta kamocha, started with Abraham the patriarch. And we can embrace it. Amazing. This is amazing. For me, it's amazing. I don't know if it's amazing for you. It's okay. So, anybody? Question? Anything? And if not, it's okay too.
Ronnie, so 5 kings, is it a 5 part of the soul?
No.
It's not. Do I understand you? I didn't understand you.
I don't want to go into Telum's explanation when he says that there is 4 phases in the desire to receive. The desire to receive is where all the fights coming from. But he's talking about the soul. So there is 5 different levels, okay? And the worst one is Sodom and Gomorrah. Why they talk about Sodom and Gomorrah? It's also a king, okay? It's because Sodom and Gomorrah was all about being the highest level of selfishness. He needed to fight 4 of them that were less than that. And he even won, and he brought back everything to Sodom and Gomorrah. And he also fought God to save this city. It means that it's like telling us, even whenever you see darkness, there's no darkness without light. You can't see darkness if you didn't know what's light. There is no also light without darkness, because what does it mean darkness really? It's absence of light. Okay, so why all those righteous people always went to Egypt? Because righteous people going to the dark place to enlighten the place. We go to where it's simple, means there is light, everything is nice. He's teaching us to fight the darkness, but to fight it with love, not with the reaction and negativity, to fight it with love.